Hello and welcome to the third chapter of my Dark Souls lore series. And yeah, I finally made up my mind and decided to record my voice instead of just writing the stuff like PowerPoint presentation of whatevs. So this chapter is about Benheim and Melfian, the link between these two places, possible locations based on descriptions and gameplay, and how this affects the lore of Dark Souls. So, if you didn't watch the previous video, then I'll let you know that Drowned Lake is in a southern continent to Lordran, and the Lodron is the land of the giants, far to the north. It's all well explained in the previous video, and I don't think most of the people already know that, so go check the video if you're not convinced yet. Now back to our main subject, Benheim and Melfian. What do we know about these two places? In Dark Souls 1, Benheim is the land of sorcerers, and most of them went to Lordran coming from the Benheim Dragon School. And they brought rings, spells, and many more items. Now in Dark Souls 2 we know that many of the items we saw from the Benheim Dragon School in Lordran are also in Drowned Lake. At first I thought that, whatevs. But then when I started to dig around and see descriptions and dialogues from NPCs on Dark Souls 2, I realized connection between the sorcerers of Benheim and the sorcerers of Melfian, and it all starts with this item. The Varangian Helm on Dark Souls 2 says, the coastline stretches far in northern Drowned Lake. Beyond this northern sea is an unexplored continent, said to be the home of things inhuman. This is interesting because in Dark Souls 1 we don't really know if Lordran is in a continent or something similar. In fact, it looks like it was built above the clouds of the Ash Lake, so I think this item in Dark Souls 2 is one of the most important items in terms of lore. Now, we already know that the continent the item is referring to is the continent where Lordran is. Or where? I'm still not sure of that. Then, we got the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring description on Dark Souls 2. Some say the founders of the Academy, in Melfian, were men who came from across the northern seas. The same item Dark Souls 1 says, this ring was secretly worn by a certain sorcerer at Benheim. So, these founders of the Melfian Magic Academy are the sorcerers of Benheim who came from beyond the northern seas. Now, I don't think Benheim was in the northern continent, since there's no information about that. And also in Dark Souls 1 there are sort of coins telling us that those who dream of returning to the outside world are fond of carrying this around. And because of this, we know there's an outside world where coins are still available as currency instead of souls. And this is very important, but that's a subject for another video. So far it's enough to know there's an outside world of Lordran. My theory is that Benheim was probably an island in the middle of the northern seas, because there's also information telling us that Benheim was not in the southern continent where Drowned Lake is. And at first, the next descriptions were a lot more difficult to link because they look like they contradict each other, but they're actually letting us know about another land or city called Olapis. Or Olafis? What else? Now, according to the All-Enforced staff description on Dark Souls 2, some hold the theory that Melfian sorceries and pyromancies originated within the boundaries of Drowned Lake. So, these sorcerers from Benheim settled where Drowned Lake is now before getting to Melfian, and before building the Magic Academy. And this is supported by the description of the Lingering Dragon Crest ring on Dark Souls 2, saying, a ring used long ago in a land that existed where Drowned Lake does now. And if you haven't paid attention to what Strait of Olafis says,
Drowned Lake. I've never heard the name. Is that what they call this place now? Oh, how long was I sat petrified? Long enough for the old kingdom to have crumbled, I see. Why didn't anyone wake me sooner?
well, I'm sorry bro, but by the time the new kingdom was built, everybody thought that you were a statue instead of a petrified person. His dialogue is very specific, saying, is that how they call this place now? It sounds like he knows where he is, and then he tells us the story of the Lost Bastille, where he was in prison. We can also see that he created spells and pyromancies before being petrified. Understanding this character lore is important to understand how the sorcerers from Benheim ended up in Melfian, but if you need more information, you can always check out his items and his full dialogue. There's another clue that these Benheim sorcerers went south at some point, so they were somewhere else before Melfian. The Arsed Sword description on Dark Souls 2 says, a few hardy survivors made land to the south and imparted their knowledge of sorcery to the people there. So first, there were people already in the south, and second, the survivors had knowledge of sorcery, and of course,
Sorcery and pyromancy thrive in Melfian.
Master Carillion and I are from Melfian to the south, a land lush with sorcery and pyromancy.
So I don't know about you guys, but I think that the origins of a Melfian Magic Academy is pretty clear after following the clues in the game. You can argue about pointless stuff, like was Lapis a city, was Lapis a country, or maybe argue about how many kingdoms were built between Lapis and Drawn Lake. But none of that is actually important to learn about the origin of Melfian Magic Academy, which seems to be directly linked to the Benheim Dragon School from Dark Souls 1. And there's another clue that has nothing to do with the origins of a Melfian Magic Academy, but is one of the most important clues in Dark Souls 2 in terms of lore, and I said one because there are more items also affecting directly the lore of Dark Souls in Dark Souls 2. The Divine Blessing description in Dark Souls 1 says, Holy water from Goddess Guinevere. Guinevere? The Divine Blessing description in Dark Souls 2 says, water blessed by an ancient goddess. Her name is long forgotten and the Magic Academy of Melfian denies her existence. In any age, there are men who refuse to see reason. It is their meddling that distorts the truth. We all know Guinevere was one of the gods who escaped from Mount Alondo, and now we know that the Magic Academy of Melfian was built by Benheim Dragon School sorcerers. So I'm gonna leave you with this to the next chapter where we'll continue to explore the lore of Dark Souls.